Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Friday, June 27th, 2025. And another big week in boxing. Just getting over the Wednesday night fights and now preparing for a big couple of months to come. And we'll have, I'm sure, lots of content over the next couple of months with so many big shows, so many big fights. And the possibilities are endless. And as I say, there's never a dull moment in boxing these days. So much going on. But let's firstly go back to on this day. Let's go all the way back to 1970, where the great light heavyweight champion Bob Foster retained his world light heavyweight title, 175 pound, with a 10th round knockout of Mark Tessman. In 1988, Jung Koo Chang knocked out Japanese Hideyuki Ohashi in the 8th round in Tokyo for the world light flyweight title, and a very significant fight on this day. Iron Mike Tyson with a first round knockout of Michael the Jinx Spinks in probably the biggest heavyweight fight. I was going to say since probably Ali Foreman, but it was probably more so Holmes Cooney in 82. So the biggest fight in 6 years. So not a long time, but it was for the undisputed heavyweight title. I remember this fight because, of course you'll remember, but more significantly because it was my first time attending a closed circuit telecast of the fight. And it was in Melbourne at Festival Hall. They had it on a massive big screen, like you're in a theatre. It was awesome. I know we've come a long way since then. We don't sort of do that stuff anymore. I'd never really seen it before in Australia either. I know they used to do it a lot in the States, but I'd never seen it in Australia before. That's how big the fight was. And of course, Mike Tyson was at his peak. He just won the undisputed title, or not won the unified title. He actually had unified the belts. He'd, of course, beaten Trevor Berbick in, November 86. He then beat Bone Crusher Smith. That was for the WBC belt. Won the WBA belt against Bone Crusher Smith early in 87. And then later in the year, defeated Tony Tucker for the IBF belt to unify all the belts. And in between that, it had wins over Pinklon Thomas and Tyrell Biggs as well. And that was at the end of 87, and then squeezed in a couple of fights early in the year in 88. This is how often he used to fight. Remember, this is June 27th, this fight. He'd already defended the belt twice before in 1988 before he fought Holmes. And that was, early? He beat Tony Tubbs by second round knockout, and then Larry Holmes by fourth round knockout. So this was his third fight of the year by the midway mark of the year. Just amazing. And if you put it in context, I suppose, in 18 months, so at the end of 86 when he won, even if you don't count that, I suppose, this was his, so what did he fight in 87? So he fought 5 times, was it? And then this is his third, so 8 times in 18 months. That's how many fights he'd had. All heavyweight title fights. 8 fights in 18 months. Just crazy. That was the Mike Tyson, I think, people of sort of my vintage remember of Iron Mike Tyson. Not all the meme sort of versions of Mike Tyson over the years. This was prime peak Iron Mike Tyson, and literally the scariest man on the planet. If you look at the vision of him before the fight in the change rooms, just like a lion in a cage, just prowling. This is when, as well, I think this might have been his last fight with Kevin Rooney, and you could tell because after this he really fell away. But when he was with Kevin Rooney at this stage of his career, remember, he was only, what was he? He would have been 24 at this stage, 24 years old, so probably about 4 years away from his peak. And he used to throw dynamic punches. He didn't allow himself to be tied up like he did later in his career. Probably after this fight, actually, he got lazy. But up until this point, he would never allow himself to get close to sort of be held. And if he did get held, he'd be ripping and hooking and everything inside to get out of it. But he would get down low and come over the top with those big uppercuts and hooks and just really just nail guys and knock them out cold. And poor old Michael Spinks, you could see the fear in his eyes. And I remember when he walked out into the ring, you could just see it was like he was going to his execution and just looked very, very nervous. And remember, Michael Spinks had some good wins as well. I think he coming off the Jerry Cooney win? I can't remember. But he'd beaten Larry Holmes twice, had a quick defence against Stefan Tangstedt, and throw the Jerry Cooney fight in there as well. And he'd actually looked good. I mean, there was a lot of people gave him a real good chance of beating Mike Tyson, purely based on his boxing skills, his speed, his boxing IQ, very, very smart fighter. But what they didn't count on was the fact that he was a very, very small heavyweight, and Mike Tyson was an absolute killer at that stage of his career. And this, as I said before, this is where the aura of Mike Tyson was formed. This is the Mike Tyson that we remember, of my age that is, and people that follow boxing at that age, around that time, of just how scary he was. When he got in there, he came into the ring to noise. It was just like a bass sound with chains clanking. That was his walkout music, and it was really eerie. Again, in that theatre with, everyone was with the surround sound and the speakers and that sort of stuff, it sounded really, really cool. I mean, I was only, what was I, 14 or 13 or 14 or something, but I still remember it. And and Mike Tyson got in the ring, and he just had that look, that scowl, and he was drenched in sweat. He was ready to go. And I remember he used to have the head roll or the neck sort of tilt he'd do, and just a guy who was just itching to get his hands on Michael Spinks. And he wanted to prove a point. As I said, a lot of people thought that Michael Spinks would have a chance against him. And then when the bell rang, you see, I remember also when they went to the centre of the ring, and Michael Spinks has just got this forlorn look on his face, and Mike Tyson's just got the look on his face of just evil. And then the bell rang, and that's when it really got real for Michael Spinks. He was on the back foot right from the word go. And Mike Tyson, even though he was always aggressive in all his fights, in this one he actually came out and really went after Michael Spinks, because even though he was sort of aggressive, would come forward, he'd sort of take his time, pick his shots. But with Michael Spinks, he just went after him and banged him from in the head, body, everywhere, the elbows, the shoulders, wherever he could get to him. And Michael Spinks was just doing his best just to get away from Mike Tyson. And then the body shot, nice little right hook to the body underneath, put Michael Spinks down. I think that was for the first time in his career, actually. And probably something he hadn't planned on was getting hit hard to the body, because Mike Tyson was definitely a headhunter. And he got up, and then you can see Mike Tyson just walk in, and the stuff of highlight reels. He sort of threw a left hook, which didn't really land, but it made Michael Spinks just go down to his left, just to avoid it, and then come in the crushing right uppercut. And that was all she wrote. And Mike Tyson was had retained the undisputed champion and became the lineal champion. I think that was the thing that obviously he was after, because Michael Spinks was regarded as a lineal champion, having beaten Larry Holmes and hadn't lost it in the ring, even though Tyson had beaten Holmes as well. And this was it. This was what he was aiming for, and he got it. He got that exclamation mark on who was the man at heavyweight. And then unfortunately after that, he didn't fight for, I think it was about 8 months after this fight, which is just easily the longest he'd been without a fight in his career. I mean, this is a guy that fought every 2 or 3 months. So to be out of the ring for 8 months, he came back and fought Frank Bruno in February of '89 and just wasn't the same. Had the win over Carl Williams Carl the Truth Williams early in, mid '89, but that was really it after that, and he would lose to Buster Douglas after that, and that would probably be the end of Mike Tyson as we knew him at his peak. And I still can't believe we're saying at his peak at 24 years of age. I just like Muhammad Ali, with those 3 years he lost in the in jail, or not in jail, in exile from fighting, that was the same as Mike Tyson. After the Carl the Truth Williams fight in mid-'89, that was the end of the Tyson that we knew, because the loss to Douglas occurred after that. And then we had all the dramas with the the prison time and just the change of trainers and all that sort of stuff. And that was it for Mike Tyson. So anyway, what could have been for Iron Mike Tyson. All right, on to what's happening now. And I saw that, is it Jimenez? Ayrton Jimenez has launched an official protest with the WBO about the decision with Liam Wilson on Wednesday night. And I'm not sure it's a protest, but it's well, I suppose it is a protest, isn't it? He's launched something, an investigation with the WBO. I'm not sure it's about he wants to force a change the result or anything like that. I mean, the decision is the decision. There's no controversy involved, whether you agree with it or not. That is the judge's decision, and that's the way it goes. The WBO have been petitioned to schedule a rematch between the two. I'm not sure whether Liam Wilson's really going to want to fight Jimenez again. I mean, okay, it was a close fight. He had his moments. There were some people that thought he won. That's fine. But to order a rematch, I mean, I'm not sure what it achieves. I mean, he's still got a bit of credit out of the fight. He's gone the distance in a close fight with a two-time world title challenger. Performed really, really well. I'm sure he'll get some more opportunities. But petition for a rematch for what? It wasn't for a world title. It wasn't for a number one ranking or anything like that. I mean, the guy was ranked number 14. I know Liam's ranked number 4. Maybe that's what he was saying. He wanted his ranking. But, I mean, he lost a close fight. Get over it. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I haven't got a problem with it. So, but, yeah, to petition the WBO about a rematch, I think he's just grasping at straws a little bit there. Oscar has had his clap back. Oscar De La Hoya has had his clap back at, whoever out there is always doubting him. And it's really aimed at the Canelo Crawford thing. It's probably a lot of the stuff that we've already talked about on here about how ridiculously funny it was to see the shove at the press conference and how manufactured it looked. I think he had, when the guys were talking at the first press conference, cricket sort of going in the background, which probably sums it up perfectly, really. I mean, that's what it was like for that first press conference. It was really dull and boring, which is why someone said, hey, boys, you might need to ramp this thing up a bit. We've got hundreds of millions of dollars, well, maybe not hundreds of millions, but $100 million or something on the line here that we're putting into this fight. Maybe let's try and get people a little bit excited about the fight. So he made fun of that. Of course, he got stuck into Canelo himself and Dana White and about his T-shirts. I didn't really notice Dana White's tight T-shirts, but Oscar certainly has, and always takes aim at them. But look, everything he said, I thought was legitimate. It's just pretty much everything I've said in the videos leading up to today, is that it was a joke. It was manufactured. The grasping at straws trying to just generate or again manufacture this rivalry between the two, and it's just not there. The chemistry is not there between the two of them. And Oscar, the dinner was the other thing he had a problem with as well, as I did as well. He said, could you imagine, Mike Tyson, was it Mitch Green, the one he had the street fight with, sitting down and having a dinner before they fought? I mean, it was all legit stuff. I fully agreed with everything that he said, and I think even his most sort of ardent haters of Oscar would have to agree with what he's saying. I mean, it's just been ludicrous so far. I'm sure now that the circus part of it is over, I'm nearly 100% sure now that it'll sort of stabilise as far as the build up to the fight, and I think it'll end up being massive. I really do. I think now it'll be concentrating on training camps. There'll be the glimpses or the snippets from training camp and maybe some interviews that they'll do along the way. But now that all that circus stuff's over with the press conference and all the little tour they did, I'm just assuming now we'll get back to business, back to normality, and the boys can go and start training, and we'll have hopefully what should be just a normal fight build up. And I'm sure a month out, the anticipation will start, and then leading into the fight itself, I think it'll be massive. 65,000 they're expecting there. I'm still waiting on the ticket prices to come out, because there are a lot of sites that, I don't know, they pre-sell the tickets or whatever they do, but there are a lot of sites that I was going to say non-recognised, they are, but not the official ones. Normally it's AXS or Ticketmaster are the ones that are the official ticket carriers. But a lot of these, like StubHubs and what's the other one? This starts with B. What's it called? There's a few of them anyway that are releasing tickets already, but I can tell you they aren't cheap. I've got a feeling that they will be reasonably priced when they go through the proper channels. Remember, they need 65,000 people there, and if they're charging $800, $900, $1,000 or something just for a ticket right up in the bleachers, I doubt they're going to fill the joint. I really do. Maybe I think if they price it like they would if it was at the T-Mobile Arena or MGM Grand or somewhere where there's only 15 to 20,000 and they can get away with charging those type of prices, they might end up with a half full stadium. So let's hope that sanity prevails. Remember, Turki Al Sheik's the promoter. I know Dana White's sort of the official promoter, but Turki Al Sheik's the one organising the fight and paying for the fight and everything like that. And he's also the one, by the way, who said it's all about the fans, giving the best fights to the fans. Now, he hasn't delivered as far as his pay-per-view goes. He said they were going to be reasonably priced, and they haven't been so far. So let's see what he does with this fight, with the ticket prices. Because really, if it's a 65,000 seat arena, I would think that the seats up in the bleachers should be no more than about $300. That's what I'm thinking. But the ones I've seen on the site so far are those other ones, starting at around $1,000 or $900 to $1,000, which I think is ridiculous. And if they do that, as I said, I think they'll end up with a half-empty stadium. I'm sure his man, Turki Al Sheik, got a lot of friends out there these days. I'm sure he'll probably end up giving them away or whatever. But I don't see the purpose of having it in a 65,000 seat arena if you're going to charge 15,000 seat arena prices. Now, I understand in a 15,000 seat arena, you know, tickets are a premium. This type of fight would easily sell out in one of those stadiums and they would get premium prices for those tickets. But as I said, when you've got 65,000 people there, not going to go down well, I think, if you're charging too much. Anyway, it's their promotion. They can do what they want, can't they? But I've been waiting for Oscar actually to have his say. He was very, let's say, careful when he talked about Turki Al Sheik. He only quickly mentioned him, but I would think that he would love to have a real crack at Turki Al Sheik and what he's doing, but of course he can't because he's the one of the gang of Turki's gang, and he can't speak out against the leader, can you? The one that the ring that you kiss. I'm looking forward to the day, if I'm being honest, that we see the real Oscar with his real clap back say, you know what, Turki, as he says to Canelo and that every week, you know, pretty much up yours. You know, like, you are a joke. This is what you've done to boxing. You are a joke, and here's why. Because we all see it, don't we? We all talk about it all the time, about sort of our criticism of what Turki's doing. I'm looking forward to the day where Oscar grows some balls and says, you know what, I don't need this. I don't need what he's doing. I don't agree with it. I'm going to go rogue and I'm going to let everyone know exactly what I think of Turki Al Sheik. Because surely in his conference room or whatever it is at home, he's thinking, geez, what the hell is this guy doing? What the hell is he getting Canelo Alvarez over to Saudi Arabia fighting in front of a couple of thousand people in a half-empty room at 7 o'clock in the morning in Saudi Arabia on Cinco de Mayo weekend? Now, what is he doing with some of these fights he's putting together? What is he doing with these stupid Times Square fights and all these sorts of things? At the moment, he's had to bite his tongue. I want Oscar to go rogue at some stage. And I reckon the wheel is slowly turning. This is probably one of the first times he's actually said something negative about Turki without really saying anything negative. Just he mentioned his name in the same sort of conversation as Dana and Canelo, his two sort of arch rivals. So let's hope we see it. I don't think you'll ever see Eddie Hearn say it. He's got that, he's like that English gentleman, isn't he? And he's a very, very smart man. It doesn't usually let emotion sort of get the best of him. He just does what's right business-wise. Where I reckon Oscar De La Hoya at some stage could go rogue and really include Turki Al Sheik into that last little mention that he has of Canelo and Dana White. So we will see. Anyway, all right. Now, speaking of Canelo, he actually said the other day that he thinks Terence Crawford is a better fighter than Floyd Mayweather. Now, is that just a bit of a clap back at Mayweather? I don't know, but that's a bold statement by Canelo. Maybe, look, he's doing his part to talk up the fact that, you know, Terence Crawford is his opponent, and you know the last thing he's going to want to do is probably talk down Terence Crawford, because that obviously makes the win if he has that look a little, you know, little diminished. But if he talks him up as being better than Mayweather, maybe that makes him look better as well, doesn't it? If he gets the win over him. So all the shenanigans are happening there now. What was the other thing I had to quickly talk about? I had it written down here. Oh yes, now. Could we see, now, again, we've had a few moments lately where we've spat the coffee out over the computer screen or over the phone, mainly based on some of my comments on all-time greats and pound for pounds and all the rest of it, but there's been mention, could we see it? This is another spit out your coffee moment. Could we see Manny Pacquiao against Sebastian Fundora? Yes, Fundora was asked about it in an interview. And he said he would love to fight Pacquiao if Pacquiao beats Barrios. Can you imagine the look of the two fighters facing off and then actually fighting in the ring? You've got, what is Sebastian Fundora, 6'7", I think he is. Manny Pacquiao is about 5'6". Can you imagine it? I suppose it also throws up the question that if Tim Tszyu beats Sebastian Fundora, could we see Tszyu Pacquiao? I would hope that we're not getting too carried away at Manny going back up to 154. I know he's fought there once before against Margarito, but geez, he looked tiny in there with Margarito, who was really big and solid at 154. It was actually coming up from 147, by the way, so imagine the big, solid 154-pounder like Fundora or Tszyu in there against him. And I don't think Tim would like to fight Manny. I think he's his hero. They have sparred before, of course, but could you imagine Sebastian Fundora in with Manny Pacquiao? Talk about freak shows. It would be pretty crazy. Poor little Manny trying to look up at him and do the stare down. So anyway, but that's what he's talking about. That I think let's just not get too carried away with the Manny thing. I think it's great he's having another crack at 46, but I think we're forgetting his last fight against Ugas. He looked horrible. And that was, what, 4 years ago, I think it was? Hasn't had a win for 6 years. Now, if he pulls this off, hey, no, fair play to Manny Pacquiao. I still don't agree with him getting a shot, even though the WBC have tried to justify it with his legend status sort of thing. There's legend clause, and if a legend comes back, they can pretty much get a title shot anytime they want. I don't agree with it. But in this instance, I wish him all the best, but I think he's up against it. But I am very excited, actually, about just being in Vegas for the fight. I mean, I'm really just going for Tim's fight with Fundora, but to have Pacquiao and Barrios on there is a bonus, and yeah, can't wait. It's coming up pretty quick. I think I'm going, what's today, the 27th? So I'm going in 11 days. So on the 8th of July, the adventure begins for this year anyway. I wasn't actually planning on sort of getting to too many shows this year, but they've just popped up. It's all sort of come together. And I'll be going back for Canelo and Crawford as well for the tour. And don't forget to make an inquiry if you're interested in coming along. Everyone's welcome. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Hope you have an awesome Friday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.